Hello, welcome to today's Suffolk Money podcast. As you'll see, it's a little bit different. If you're watching this, you'll see that we're standing outside George Debman's butcher shop in Cliff Lane in Ipswich. For those of you who are listening, hopefully you'll still get the same benefit of a slightly different and unusual visit today. So rather than just an interview with somebody where we understand what they're saying and we ask some questions, today we're actually visiting the butcher shop and finding out what George and his apprentice Annie do while they're in there. So we'll find out about the services that they offer, about where they source their meat, why even Annie would want to become an apprentice butcher, and about George's history as he has run this shop for many years now. So George, thank you for welcoming us this morning. It's great to see you inside. How long have you been here? That's the first thing.
The business has been here since 1963, and my late father bought it from Wells Butchers, who actually had two shops here in Ipswich and were renowned for being a pork butchers. And my father always said that if he had been shown a true set of accounts, he wouldn't have taken the business on.
Oh. Great. Okay, but you've obviously survived since then.
Yes.
And it's the one establishment you have?
Yes, we have one establishment. I actually decided very early that I wanted to be a butcher, and my parents encouraged me to learn it properly and sent me to Smithfield College in London.
Right.
And yeah, I did very, very well, considering I always thought, well, I'm just a bit thick. And did 2 years there, come back, and new ideas and all that. And my father looked at opening another shop in the town centre in Tackett Street, but it fell through. And in actual fact, that was a good decision, because where we're situated here, we've got plenty of space. It's a nice area, and it's easy for people to access.
Well, that's the thing, it's lovely. You can park straight outside and people pop in. So, yeah, and you're in the middle of a community too.
Yes, the community is very important to me. It's very important that we're a community business. We're seen to be active within the community. And over the years, yes, I've been a local councillor. I'm involved with the local scouts. We do things for the community. And several years ago, we used to have like community street fairs here, and this year for the Queen's Platinum, we're actually busy organising a community day here. That's what we're busy doing.
Fantastic stuff. So you then went to Smithfield, 2 years away from home?
Yes.
How did you cope with London life?
I loved it, I'll tell you. Was it Sunday night on the train to London? I was lodged with my aunt, who sadly has passed away, on the Isle of Dogs, and Monday morning by tube into Smithfield College. And the 2 years in London was actually a life-changing experience. It certainly taught me one or two things, and with obviously working at college, the first year was all practical. And I loved it, because if you can imagine, or people imagine, that all butchers are like roly-poly characters, and my tutor was like a roly-poly character, moustache, glasses and all that, and right character. And over the 2 years, certainly with the practical, did really well. Worked on a TV advert, which was really good. So I was charged with going onto the market and purchasing the leanest lamb that could, and then obviously taking it to the TV studios. The second year, did a trade exhibition at Olympia, where we were making pies, and that was round about the time we were going into the common market.
Right, yeah.
And I always remember meeting Jim Pryor, and he actually asked me what I thought about the common market. Worst day's work, and he actually turned around to me and said, "Don't be a stupid boy." I always remember that.
So you obviously have Annie working with you now,
Yes.
so that she can learn in the same way that you learnt, but in a different context, whereas you went away to college, she's obviously able to now do an apprenticeship.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. I'm say the modern way of apprenticeships, certainly within the industry, is actually training on the job. And we're very lucky here in Ipswich. We've got one of the best training providers in the country in Meat East Anglia Trades. And at the same time, I have known the principal a very, very long time indeed. And when Annie broached the subject, I obviously spoke to Jane. She come down here and I said, well, yes, I'll take Annie on as an apprentice, but I'll train her how I was taught, not the modern way, because I don't necessarily agree with all the modern techniques and one thing and another, and certainly the modern cuts.
This is great, Annie, to be able to have a conversation with you. We've just heard a bit about you from George. All good stuff.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
So don't worry about that. So you're an apprentice here, is that right?
Yes, yeah, I'm an apprentice. I started in June, July time last year, after I finished my A-levels, and I've been here, doing it now.
Can I just ask what A-levels you did?
French, politics and geography.
Okay.
Yeah, completely different
that's
to
useful.
Butchery. But I've got them, that's the main thing.
You have. That's well done for doing them. So what was the appeal? What struck you about Butchery then as being something to pursue?
I think it's a funny really, because I think I worked for George beforehand. I started as a Saturday girl with George, and I used to just come in on a Saturday, do the washing up and things like that. And over time, I kind of, was more interested in what they were doing. I liked watching what George was doing when he was doing his butchery, what the other people in the shop were doing. And then I think when I came to the end of my A-levels, I kind of wasn't really sure what step I wanted to do. I just knew I didn't want to go to university because I couldn't do that. And I thought to myself, actually, I really love the work that I do and I love watching what they do, and I think I'd just love to do it myself. So I kind of took that leap and I said to George, what would you do if I told you that I wanted to become a butcher? And he said, I'll take you on.
My father and, like at college, I was taught, if you're going to do something, do it right. And my father always drummed into me, if you sell quality, you'll always have a trade. If you sell rubbish and upset somebody, you won't get that trade back. And, for us, the most important meal of the year is Christmas.
Right.
If you can't get it right at Christmas, forget about it.
Where we are here, as George has mentioned, we're in a really good community, and the people that come in are just brilliant. They're so lovely, and there's this sense of I don't want to say a butcher's family, but we are like a big old family, and I think everybody that comes in, they know us, they know who we are, they say hello, we can have a laugh and a joke with them, and it's great. And I think having that interaction with people is really, really good.
It sounds to me as though this isn't just your life from sort of running the business and maintaining your relationships with your customers, but it seems to me as though the whole profession of butchery is important to you, and I understand you now have a national role as a president.
Yes, butchery is important to me. It's a trade that certainly for many years, has diminished. Not people coming into the trade, and the closest you could be to being a butcher was being a chef. I'm say, when my son and daughter were looking at careers and all that, I used to go to the careers conventions. Have you got anything to do with butchers? Well, no. There was nothing there at all. And at the same time, one of the things that I'd like to see, and that's one of the reasons why I'm very, very keen, obviously with teaching Annie, is butchery becoming a recognised trade. And with being elected as national president, which I'm very, very proud of, is the fact that in my term of office I'd like to see us as an organisation getting out there, promoting butchery for youngsters, because they're desperately crying out for butchers. And it's hard work, it's not an easy job, but at the same time it's very, very rewarding indeed.
if you bone things out cleanly the first time, you're not going to have to go behind yourself, and it will cause you extra work if you don't.
Yep.
So I made sure that I'm close to the bone with this pork that I'm doing here, so that, well, as close to the bone as I can be, so that you're not wasting any of the meat, and you're not leaving anything on there, because as I say, George has always told me, if you don't do it right the first time, you've got more work for yourself, which is true.
You know, Annie will tell you that we actually have people come in here who have shopped here in Ipswich, bought meat, been very, very disappointed with it, and you know, they've tried us, come back, they never thought meat could taste so good.
There we go. So we can do lots of things with pork tenderloin.
Yes, you can. It's a very popular thing. I mean, I like to chop it up for a curry. I think that's something I like to do. We have people that come in, they have it chopped up and flavoured so that they can fry it for things. But it's up to you, really. It's quite a versatile bit of meat, really. You can do whatever, yeah.
And then the rest of your day will be spent working on that, I guess.
Working on this, yes. Well, it won't take me a day. George does like to tell me, come on, Annie, what are you doing? You've been doing that for hours now. And I say, oh, all right, I better speed up then. So
it's all about accuracy.
Yeah, that's what I say too. You can tell him that,
yeah. Well done. That's amazing. Well, astonishing. Absolutely wonderful to see you in action and see the work you're doing. And we wish you well with your career.
Thank you very much.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking to us about it. So, thank you very much for joining us on this week's Suffolk Money podcast, and we're particularly grateful to George and to Annie for sharing their Monday morning with us while we've been recording that, to understand something of what's encouraged Annie into this profession and George's incredibly fascinating history. It's just lovely to see wonderful client-focused, customer-focused professions like butchery still carrying on within Suffolk, and for the way that they source so much of what they're providing locally. Thank you for joining us. I'm indebted, as always, to the team who really does all the hard work behind the scenes, to Joy Day, to Kevin Birch and to Sally Birch for all that they do in getting this programme and putting it all together. And we hope that it won't be long before you join us again in our next edition of the Suffolk Money podcast.